The battle was over in minutes. Commander Vrexthor stood on the smoking battlefield, his massive form casting long shadows across the broken ground. Around him, the rebels lay defeated. His soldiers moved through the ruins with practiced efficiency, securing the area. The moon's crimson sky flickered with distant explosions. Vrexthor activated his communication device. Council headquarters, this is Deathworld Regiment. The rebellion is crushed. We have secured the mining facility. The reply came instantly. Excellent work, Commander. Return to the station for debriefing. Vrexthor looked at his reflection in a shattered window. 8 feet of armored muscle stared back at him. His exoskeleton gleamed under the harsh light. He was Krathal, born on a world that killed the weak before they could walk. His people were the strongest in the galaxy. Everyone knew this. Everyone accepted it. 3 days later, Vrexthor stood before the Galactic Council. The massive chamber held representatives from 40 different species. Some breathed methane. Others needed water tanks. A few existed as energy patterns. But all of them respected the Krathal. The rebellion is ended, Vrexthor reported. My soldiers face temperatures that would boil most species. The gravity on that moon is twice what most of you can survive. The atmosphere could strip the flesh from unprotected bodies. We walked through it like it was nothing. Counselor Thex, an insectoid diplomat, clicked his mandibles in approval. Your people continue to prove why they guard our borders, Commander. The Krathal are truly the children of a death world. Vrexthor allowed himself a moment of pride. His homeworld, Krath Prime, was legendary. Gravity 3 times stronger than galactic standard. An atmosphere thick with chemicals that burned like acid. Predators that hunted in packs and could tear through steel. His ancestors had survived all of it. They had conquered it. That made the Krathal superior. It was simple fact. No other species could have completed this mission, Vrexthor said. We are the apex predators of this galaxy. The council murmured agreement. For 300 years, the Krathal had proven themselves again and again. They were the peacekeepers, the enforcers, the unstoppable force that maintained order across the stars. Then the alarms sounded. Unknown vessel approaching, announced the station's automated system. Origin unknown. Configuration unknown. The council chamber erupted in confused chatter. Unknown vessels were rare. The galaxy was well mapped. Most species had been catalogued centuries ago. Display visual, ordered Counselor Thex. A holographic image appeared above the chamber floor. The ship was strange. Sleek but solid. It moved with careful precision, broadcasting signals on multiple frequencies. They're trying to communicate, said the station's communication officer. Translating now. Static filled the chamber. Then a voice came through, speaking in carefully pronounced galactic standard. Greetings. This is Captain Day of the Earth exploration vessel Horizon. We come in peace. We seek contact with representatives of this region. Earth. The word meant nothing to anyone present. Respond, ordered Thex. Tell them to approach the station slowly. We will meet them. Vrexthor watched the strange ship dock with the station. Through the viewing port, he could see figures moving inside. They were small, bipedal. No visible armor, no obvious weapons. They looked soft. Prepare a security detail, Vrexthor commanded. Unknown species must be assessed. When the airlock opened, 3 humans stepped onto the station. Vrexthor studied them carefully. They stood perhaps 6 feet tall, barely reaching his chest. Their skin had no natural protection. They wore simple uniforms and carried no weapons. One of them smiled. Hello, said the human in front. I am Captain Day. This is Dr. Hai, our science officer, and Lieutenant Ney, our tactical specialist. We are honored to meet you. Counselor Thex approached, his multiple legs clicking on the metal floor. Welcome, Captain Day. We are curious about your species. Where is this Earth you mentioned? Dr. Hai stepped forward. She had kind eyes and moved with careful grace. Earth is approximately 40,000 light-years from here, in what you would call the Orion Arm. We are new to deep space exploration. This is our first contact with other intelligent species. The council members exchanged glances. First contact was always delicate. "Tell us about your world," Thex requested. "We must understand your environmental requirements." Dr. Hai activated a small device. Holographic data appeared in the air. Earth is a terrestrial planet. Gravity is 1.0 g by our measurement. Atmosphere is nitrogen and oxygen, with oxygen comprising about 21%. Surface temperature ranges from -80 to +50 degrees Celsius. We have diverse ecosystems including oceans, forests, deserts, and polar ice caps. Vrexthor listened carefully. 1.0 g was moderate by galactic standards. Oxygen-rich atmosphere was unusual but not extreme. Temperature variation was significant but not deadly. This was no death world. "Your world sounds pleasant," Thex observed. "Challenging, perhaps, but not exceptionally dangerous." Captain Day exchanged a look with his companions. Something passed between them. Amusement? Concern? Vrexthor couldn't tell. "Earth has its difficulties," Day said carefully, "but we have learned to adapt." Vrexthor stepped forward. His massive bulk made the humans look even smaller. "Your species appears fragile. No natural armor, no obvious defensive adaptations. How did you survive to develop technology?" Dr. Hai met his gaze without flinching. That surprised him. Most species showed at least some fear when confronting a Krathal warrior. "Humans are persistence predators," she explained. "We evolved to outlast our prey rather than overpower it. Our bodies regulate temperature through perspiration. We can run for extended periods without rest. Our hands can manipulate tools with great precision. We heal quickly from injuries. And we work together." Lieutenant Na added, "We may not look strong, but appearances can be misleading." Vrexthor made a dismissive sound. He had heard similar claims before. Every species thought they were special, but only the Krathal had truly earned the title of Deathworlders. "You will understand in time," he said. "The galaxy is harsh. Your soft bodies will learn this quickly." Captain Day simply smiled. "Perhaps. We look forward to learning from you." The formal reception continued for another hour. The humans were polite, curious, and eager to establish relations. They answered questions about Earth's history, their technology, and their culture. They seemed genuinely excited to meet other intelligent species. Later, Vrexthor met with his senior officers in the military wing of the station. "What do you think of these humans?" asked Gorn, his second-in-command. Vrexthor considered the question. "They are weak, garden worlders who got lucky with their development. They will need protection in the real galaxy." "They seemed confident," Gorn observed. "Ignorance often breeds confidence," Vrexthor replied. "They have never faced true danger. They have never seen what real Deathworld species can do. They will learn." But even as he said it, Vrexthor remembered the way Dr. Hai had looked at him. No fear, no intimidation, just calm assessment, and Captain Day's smile had held something else. Knowledge, experience. Vrexthor shook his head. He was overthinking this. Humans were just another species, weaker than most. They would find their place in the galaxy, probably performing administrative tasks or scientific research. The real work of protecting and enforcing would still fall to the Krathal. It always did. Outside the station, the horizon hung in space. Inside its hull, the human crew prepared for their next day of diplomatic meetings. They had much to learn about this new galaxy they had discovered, and the galaxy had much to learn about them. Neither side yet understood just how much everything was about to change. The council chamber was full. Representatives from every major species had gathered to formally welcome Earth into the galactic community. Ambassador Wu stood at the center platform, a small figure surrounded by beings of every imaginable shape and size. Behind him stood Security Officer Hyun and Medical Officer Su. They wore their dress uniforms with quiet pride. Ambassador Wu was older than the others, with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen much. He bowed respectfully to the assembled council. "Honored representatives," he began, "Earth thanks you for this welcome. We come as friends and learners." We hope to contribute to the peace and prosperity of this galactic community. Counselor Thex gestured with one of his many limbs. Before we grant provisional membership, we must understand your capabilities and limitations. Please share your world's complete environmental profile. Ambassador Wu nodded to Dr. Hai, who had joined them from the horizon. She activated the holographic display again, this time with much more detailed information. Earth's mass is 5.97 times 10 to the 24th power kilograms, she began. Gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared, which we designate as 1.0 g. Our atmosphere is 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and trace gases including carbon dioxide and argon. A murmur ran through the council. One representative, a methane breather named Kickstall, spoke up. 21% oxygen? That is extremely high. Your atmosphere must be highly reactive. Fire must be a constant danger. Dr. Hai nodded. Fire is indeed dangerous on Earth. Our oxygen-rich atmosphere supports rapid combustion. We have had to develop careful safety protocols. Another representative, Felon from a low-gravity water world, asked, what is your surface temperature range? -89 to +58 degrees Celsius on record, Dr. Hai replied. Though most populated areas experience a smaller range, we also have significant seasonal variations in many regions, with dramatic changes every few months. The council members exchanged looks. Temperature variation was uncomfortable for many species who preferred stable environments. Tell us about your planet's dangers, Thex requested. What predators exist? What natural disasters occur? Dr. Hai took a breath. Earth has significant biodiversity. We share our world with millions of species. Large predators include big cats, bears, crocodiles, and sharks. We have venomous snakes, spiders, and insects. In the oceans, we have animals that can grow over 30 meters long. As for natural disasters, we experience earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis, floods, droughts, and wildfires. She paused, then added, we also have microscopic organisms, bacteria and viruses that cause disease. Our immune systems fight them constantly. Vrexthor, watching from his position with the security detail, made a dismissive sound. This sounds like a standard Class 3 challenging world. Difficult, perhaps, but nothing compared to a true death world. Medical Officer Sue spoke for the first time. Her voice was clear and professional. Commander Vrexthor, may I ask about Krath Prime's classification? Vrexthor stood straighter, proud to discuss his homeworld. Krath Prime is a Class 9 death world. Gravity is 3.2 g. Our atmosphere contains sulfur compounds and acid rain. Temperatures swing from -100 to +80 degrees. Our apex predators can crush steel. Only the strong survive. Sue nodded thoughtfully. Impressive. And your species evolved to match these conditions. Your exoskeleton provides natural armor. Your muscle density allows you to move in high gravity. Your respiratory system filters toxic chemicals. Correct, Vrexthor confirmed. We are products of our world. This is what makes us superior. Sue smiled slightly. Superior is a matter of perspective, Commander. Your species evolved specific adaptations for specific conditions. Humans evolved different adaptations for different conditions. Such as, Vrexthor challenged. Dr. Hai stepped in. Humans are endurance specialists. Our bodies cool through perspiration, allowing us to regulate temperature precisely. This lets us run for hours without overheating. Before we developed technology, humans would chase prey animals until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Some hunts lasted 2 or 3 days. A ripple of surprise went through the council. Most species could not sustain activity for more than short bursts. We also have remarkable healing capabilities, Sue continued. Broken bones can mend in weeks. Cuts seal themselves. Our immune systems fight off countless infections daily. We can survive significant trauma that would kill many species. And we adapt, added Ambassador Wu. Humans live in every environment on Earth. From frozen tundra to scorching deserts, from sea level to high mountains. We have learned to survive anywhere. Vrexthor crossed his massive arms. Survival is not the same as strength. Your bodies are still soft, fragile. You have no natural weapons. Security Officer Hyun finally spoke. He was young but had the bearing of a trained warrior. With respect, Commander, we don't need natural weapons. We invented better ones. And as for soft, soft can be strong. A reed bends in the wind while a rigid tree breaks. Vrexthor snorted. Philosophy will not save you when a real predator attacks. Perhaps not, Hyun agreed. But intelligence, cooperation, and refusal to quit? Those have saved us many times. Counselor Thex raised a limb for attention. This debate is interesting, but we must make a decision. Earth's profile suggests a challenging world, but not an extreme one. The humans appear capable and intelligent. I propose we grant provisional membership with standard restrictions. Another counselor, a floating energy being named Lux, pulsed thoughtfully. I suggest a cultural exchange program. The humans should experience how other species operate. Perhaps the Krathal could mentor them? Show them what real warriors are like? Vrexthor saw the trap immediately. This was meant to be humiliating. Put the soft humans against Krathal warriors and show them their place in the galactic hierarchy. Part of him disliked the idea. It seemed cruel, like crushing an insect. But another part of him thought it might be necessary. These humans seemed confident, almost arrogant. They needed to understand reality. A lesson now might save their lives later. The Krathal accept, Vrexthor announced. We will show these humans what it means to be a Deathworlder. Ambassador Wu looked at his companions. Hyun's expression was carefully neutral. Su seemed thoughtful. Dr. Hai's eyes gleamed with something that might have been amusement. We accept your generous offer, Wu said formally. We look forward to learning from the Krathal. The council voted. Earth was granted provisional membership. The cultural exchange was scheduled for the following week at the main training facility. The humans bowed respectfully and left the chamber. Later, Vrexthor found himself watching them through a viewing port. They walked with easy confidence, talking among themselves. They laughed at something Hyun said. They seemed relaxed, almost carefree. They don't understand what they have agreed to, Gorn said, joining him at the window. No, Vrexthor agreed. They will learn. We will push them to their limits in the first hour. They will break quickly. And if they don't? Gorn asked. Vrexthor turned to his second-in-command with surprise. What do you mean? Did you see the medical officer's face when you described Krath Prime? She was not intimidated. She was interested. And that security officer, Hyun. He has the eyes of someone who has seen combat. Impossible, Vrexthor said. They come from a garden world. What combat could they have seen? Gorn didn't answer. He just watched the humans disappear down the corridor. Vrexthor shook his head. He was overthinking this again. Humans were soft. They would prove it soon enough. And then they would understand their place in the galaxy. It was better for them to learn now, in a controlled environment, than to learn later when the lesson might kill them. The training would be difficult. The humans would struggle. They would probably quit after the first few exercises. And then they would go back to their ship, humbled and wiser. It was for their own good, Vrexthor told himself. The galaxy was dangerous. Better they understand that now. He had no way of knowing that the humans had been telling the exact truth about themselves. And the exact truth about humans was something the galaxy had never encountered before. The training facility was enormous, built to accommodate species of every size and environmental need. Sergeant Tay stood with his squad in the main preparation room, checking their equipment one final time. He was a solid man with scarred hands and a calm demeanor. Behind him, Private Jin and Private Ra waited quietly. Jin was young, barely 20, with nervous energy and quick movements. Ra was older, a combat medic with steady hands and watchful eyes. They had served together for 2 years on Earth, in situations most people never wanted to discuss. Remember, Tay said quietly, we are not here to win. We are here to learn and to represent humanity well. Show respect, follow orders, do your best. Even if they try to humiliate us? Jin asked. Especially then, Tay replied. How we handle defeat shows more character than how we handle victory. The door opened. Gorn, Vrexthor's second-in-command, entered. He was slightly smaller than Vrexthor, but still massive by human standards. His armor gleamed under the lights. "Humans," he rumbled, "follow me. The commander is waiting." They followed him through corridors that grew progressively larger, designed for bigger species. Finally, they emerged into a massive training arena. Vrexthor stood in the center with a dozen Krathal warriors. Along the walls, other species watched with curiosity. This was apparently going to be a public demonstration. "Welcome," Vrexthor announced, his voice echoing through the space. "Today, you will experience what real Deathworld training involves. We will start simple and increase difficulty. You may stop at any time. There is no shame in recognizing your limits." Tay bowed slightly. "We are ready, Commander." "First exercise," Vrexthor declared. "Heavy gravity endurance. The chamber will simulate 2.8 G gravity. You will complete the obstacle course. My warriors will demonstrate." A Krathal warrior entered the gravity chamber. The air shimmered as the field activated. The warrior moved through the course with practiced ease, climbing walls, crawling under barriers, and leaping across gaps. He finished in less than 3 minutes. "Your turn," Vrexthor said, looking at the humans. Tay nodded. "Jin, you first, then Ra. I will go last." Jin swallowed hard, but entered the chamber without hesitation. The moment the gravity field activated, his knees buckled. The watching species murmured. This would be over quickly. But Jin didn't fall. He steadied himself, adjusted his stance, and started moving forward. Every step looked like it required enormous effort. His breathing became labored. Sweat poured down his face. But he kept going. The climb over the first wall took him 5 minutes. He had to stop twice to rest, clinging to the wall with shaking arms. The watching aliens began to whisper. Some turned away, uncomfortable watching the young human struggle. Jin reached the crawl section. He dropped to his stomach and began pulling himself forward with his arms. His legs dragged behind him like dead weight. The watching crowd grew silent. 10 minutes in, Jin's arms gave out. He collapsed face first into the ground. The gravity pressed down on him like a physical weight. "He is done," Vrexthor said, reaching for the emergency stop. But Jin was moving. Slowly, impossibly, he began to crawl forward using just his elbows. Centimeter by centimeter. His face was pressed into the floor, blood dripped from his nose, but he moved forward. "Stop him," Gorn said quietly. "He will hurt himself." "No," Tay replied firmly. "He knows his limits. Let him choose." 23 minutes later, Jin crossed the finish line. He lay on the ground, chest heaving, unable to stand. Medical Officer Sue rushed in with the emergency crew to help him out. As they carried him past Vrexthor, Jin looked up at the massive warrior and smiled through bloody teeth. "Not bad," Jin gasped. "For a warm-up." Ra went next. She moved more efficiently, conserving energy. She finished in 18 minutes, also crawling the final section. But she finished. Tay entered last. He had watched carefully, learning from his soldiers. He moved with deliberate precision, never wasting motion. When his legs began to fail, he used his arms. When his arms weakened, he used momentum. He fell 3 times but always got back up. He finished in 15 minutes and walked out under his own power, though barely. The watching species were silent. This was not what they had expected. "Second exercise," Vrexthor announced, though his voice held less confidence now. "Toxic environment survival. You will wear breathing apparatus and complete tasks in a chamber filled with corrosive gas." The 3 humans donned their masks and entered the chamber. Yellowish gas filled the space. The task was simple. Move containers from one side to the other. The Krathal completed it in 5 minutes. The humans began working. They moved methodically, communicating with hand signals. Halfway through, there was a hissing sound. Ra's breathing tube had developed a leak. The corrosive gas began seeping in. "Medical emergency," Gorn announced. "Shut down the—" Ra held up a hand. "Stop." She calmly removed a repair kit from her belt, held her breath, and began sealing the leak. The gas swirled around her exposed face. Her eyes watered. Her skin began to redden, but her hands remained steady. 1 minute passed. Vrexthor had never seen a species voluntarily hold its breath that long. 2 minutes. Ra's face was turning red, then purple. But she continued working. At 2 minutes and 40 seconds, she finished the repair, reattached the tube, and took a deep breath. Then she calmly went back to moving containers. The humans finished the task in 7 minutes. When they emerged, Ra's face was covered in chemical burns. Sue immediately began treating her. "Why did you not stop?" Vrexthor demanded. "You could have died." Ra looked at him with calm eyes. "The mission was not complete. We don't stop until the job is done." "Final exercise," Vrexthor said, his voice strangely quiet. "Hand-to-hand combat. One of my warriors against one of you." Tay stepped forward. "I volunteer." A Krathal warrior approached. He was huge, even by Krathal standards. Muscles rippled beneath his armored skin. He looked at Tay with something like pity. "I will try not to hurt you too badly, human," the warrior said. "I appreciate that," Tay replied. The match began. The Krathal warrior moved first, a sweeping strike that should have ended the fight immediately. It connected with Tay's shoulder and sent him flying across the arena. He crashed into a wall with a sickening thud. The watching aliens winced. Some looked away. Tay stood up. The warrior attacked again. Another devastating blow caught Tay in the ribs. There was an audible crack. Tay went down hard. He stood up. "Stay down," the warrior pleaded. "You are injured." Tay rolled his shoulders. "Yes, but I can still fight." The warrior attacked again, more cautiously now. Something in Tay's eyes had changed. The human was no longer defending. He was studying, learning. The next strike came. Tay moved with it instead of against it, reducing the impact. He struck back at a joint in the warrior's armor. The blow did no damage, but it showed understanding. The warrior hit Tay again. Ribs cracked further. Tay gasped, but did not fall. Instead, he moved closer, inside the warrior's reach where the long arms had less power. "What are you?" the warrior whispered, genuine fear in his voice. Tay's eyes were strange now, pupils dilated, breathing controlled despite the pain. His body was flooding with adrenaline, suppressing pain, enhancing reaction time. An ancient human survival mechanism. The warrior struck again. Tay caught the arm, twisted, and used the warrior's own momentum to throw him off balance. The massive alien stumbled. "I yield," the warrior said suddenly. "I yield." The match was over. Tay stood in the center of the arena, bleeding and broken but still standing. The watching species erupted in confused chatter. Sue rushed to Tay with medical equipment. "3 broken ribs," she said after a quick scan. "Fractured shoulder, multiple contusions. You need immediate treatment." "Will I die?" Tay asked. "No, but—" "Then it can wait until everyone has been treated," Tay said. He looked at Vrexthor. "Did we pass your test, Commander?" Vrexthor stared at the human sergeant. At the young private who had crawled the final 100 meters. At the medic who had held her breath for nearly 3 minutes in corrosive gas. At all of them, standing in various states of injury but standing nonetheless. "I do not understand," Vrexthor said slowly. "Your bodies are broken. Why do you continue? Why do you not stop?" Tay smiled through bloody lips. "Because stopping is not in our nature, Commander. Humans do not stop because things are hard. We stop when things are done, or when we are dead. Sometimes not even then." Gorn approached his commander quietly. "They are not what we thought." "No," Vrexthor agreed, his voice strange. "They are not." The alert came in the middle of the night cycle, wailing through the station's corridors. Vrexthor was at the command center in minutes, still fastening his armor. The main display showed chaos. "Report," he commanded. The communications officer, a multi-limbed Felian, worked frantically at her console. Mining colony on Threshold 7. Catastrophic volcanic activity. The planet's core has destabilized. Gravity is increasing. Atmosphere turning toxic. We are receiving hundreds of distress calls. Vrexthor felt ice in his chest. How many colonists? 473. Multiple species, including... The officer paused, checking her data. Including 37 Krathal. Women and children among them. Gorn appeared at Vrexthor's side. Your brother's family is stationed there. Vrexthor's hands clenched. His brother Kexthor had taken a civilian position at the mining colony 5 years ago. His mate and 2 children were with him. Vrexthor had visited them just last month. The children had climbed on his armor, laughing and fearless. Assemble a rescue team, Vrexthor ordered. Full Deathworld equipment. We leave immediately. An hour later, Vrexthor stood in the briefing room with his senior officers. The holographic display showed Threshold 7 in horrifying detail. The planet's surface glowed with lava flows. Ash clouds filled the atmosphere. And the numbers kept updating. Gravity now at 3.5 G and rising. Temperature at 70 degrees Celsius. Atmosphere. Sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, ash particles. Commander, Gorn said quietly, our equipment is rated for 3.2 G. We can survive at 3.5, but not for long. The atmospheric conditions are at the edge of our tolerance, and it is still getting worse. Then we move fast, Vrexthor replied. We get in, get them out, and... Commander! The voice came from the doorway. Captain Day stood there with Dr. Hai and Captain Yong, a human emergency response specialist Vrexthor had not met before. We heard about the crisis. We want to help. Vrexthor stared at them. This is beyond your capabilities. The conditions are 3.5 G gravity, toxic atmosphere, extreme heat. Yong interrupted calmly. He was older than Day, with gray hair and the weathered look of someone who had seen disasters before. We reviewed the data. It's bad. But we can help. You will die, Vrexthor said flatly. Your bodies cannot handle those conditions. Even we are not certain we can succeed. Then you need all the help you can get, Yong replied. Commander, we have emergency response teams on Earth that deal with disasters regularly. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, chemical spills. This is worse, yes, but the principles are the same. Dr. Hai added, we have exosuits that can augment our strength in high gravity, breathing apparatus designed for toxic environments, and we heal quickly from injuries. Let us try. Vrexthor wanted to refuse. Every instinct told him these soft humans would only get in the way. But he thought of his brother's children. Every pair of hands might mean another life saved. If you come, he said slowly, you follow my orders absolutely. If I tell you to leave, you leave. Understood? Understood, the 3 humans said in unison. 6 hours later, the rescue ships descended through Threshold 7's burning atmosphere. Vrexthor piloted his ship with Gorn and 5 warriors. The human ship, smaller but surprisingly well-equipped, followed behind with 12 humans aboard. The planet's surface was a nightmare. Lava flows crisscrossed the landscape. Ash fell like black snow. The air itself seemed to burn, and the gravity pressed down like a physical weight. Colony shelter is 3 kilometers north, Gorn reported. Structure is intact, but surrounded by lava flows. Ground is unstable. Land as close as we can, Vrexthor ordered. Full environmental suits. They landed on a ridge overlooking the colony. As Vrexthor exited his ship, the full force of the conditions hit him. Even with his natural advantages and technological support, moving felt like pushing through mud. Each step required conscious effort. The humans emerged from their ship in bulky exosuits. The suits whined and hummed, mechanical muscles assisting their movements. They looked awkward, ungainly. Jin nearly fell on his first step. This is impossible, Gorn muttered. But the humans kept moving. Yong led them, setting a careful pace. They moved slowly but steadily toward the colony shelter. The rescue operation was chaos. The shelter held survivors from multiple species, all terrified and exhausted. Some were injured. All were weakening from the environmental conditions. The structure itself was failing, cracks spreading through the walls. "We need to move them in stages," Yong said, his voice crackling through the communication system. "Worst injuries first, then children, then everyone else." Engineer Quan, a young human woman with quick hands and quicker thinking, began rigging emergency shelter pods. These will protect them during transport, not comfortable, but safe. Vrexthor found his brother in the back of the shelter. Kexthor was pinned under a fallen beam, his leg crushed. His mate stood over him, shielding their children with her body. "Brother," Kexthor gasped. "The children. Save the children first." Vrexthor gripped the beam, trying to lift it. Even with his strength, in this gravity it barely moved. Gorn joined him. Together they managed to shift it slightly. "Here." Private Jin appeared beside them. His exosuit was smoking, overtaxed by the conditions. "Help me lever it." Jin wedged a piece of metal under the beam. The three of them pushed. The beam moved. Kexthor dragged himself free with a cry of pain. Private Ra was there immediately, medical kit open. "Compound fracture, severe but survivable. I need to stabilize it before we move him." She worked in the hellish conditions with steady hands, splinting the leg, injecting pain medication, checking vital signs. Around them, the shelter groaned ominously. "We have maybe 20 minutes before this whole structure collapses," Quan reported. "Maybe less." "Then we move faster," Yong replied. "Teams of 2, Krathal and human pairs. Use each other's strengths." The evacuation became a desperate race. Vrexthor carried an injured Felian while Jin guided him around lava flows. Gorn supported an elderly Krathal, while Ra monitored vital signs. Quan and another human engineer named Do rigged a makeshift bridge across a gap where the ground had collapsed. 30 minutes in, a human named Bo slipped. His exosuit's leg actuator failed, and he went down hard. A Krathal warrior named Thexeral immediately grabbed him, half carrying, half dragging him back to the ship. "Why?" Bo gasped. "I am slowing you down." "We do not leave people behind," Thexeral replied, echoing words he had heard a human say earlier. "Your kind taught us that today." 45 minutes in, Jin collapsed. The young human had been running on adrenaline and determination, pushing far beyond what his body could handle. His exosuit failed completely, and he crumpled under the crushing gravity. Vrexthor lifted him without hesitation, cradling the small human against his armored chest. "I have him. Continue the evacuation." Jin tried to protest but couldn't form words. His eyes rolled back. Vrexthor ran, or what passed for running in 3.5 G, carrying Jin back to the ships. Hour by hour they worked. The gravity increased to 3.7 G. The temperature climbed to 90 degrees. Breathing became agony even with filters. But they kept moving. Quan collapsed twice, got back up twice. Ra worked on injuries while her own hands blistered from chemical burns. Yong coordinated everything with a calm voice, even as his exosuit systems failed one by one. And the Krathal warriors, who had always worked alone, found themselves relying on the humans. Trusting them. Protecting them as the humans protected others. 47 hours after they arrived, the last colonist was loaded onto a ship. 473 souls, all alive. Not one casualty. The ships lifted off just as the colony shelter finally collapsed into a river of lava. In orbit, the rescued colonists were transferred to medical ships. Vrexthor stood in the docking bay, watching the humans emerge from their vessel. They were broken. Burns covered their skin. Bones were cracked. Blood seeped through damaged exosuits. Ra had to be carried out by Do. Jin was unconscious. Yong walked on sheer determination alone. But they had all made it. Every single human who went down had come back up. Vrexthor approached Yong as medical teams swarmed the humans. "Why?" he asked. "Those were not your people down there. You risked everything for strangers." Yong smiled through cracked and bleeding lips. "Commander, humanity learned something long ago. We are all stronger together. Every life matters." Every person is worth saving. That is not weakness. That is what makes us unstoppable. Vrexthor watched his brother's children being treated. They would live. His entire family would live. Because humans had refused to accept any other outcome. For the first time in his life, Vrexthor understood. Strength was not just about muscles or armor. It was about refusing to quit, refusing to leave others behind, refusing to accept defeat. The humans had shown him what real strength looked like. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session 3 days after the Threshold 7 rescue. The chamber was packed. Everyone had heard about what happened, the impossible rescue, the humans who walked through hell to save strangers. Counselor Thex called the meeting to order. We are here to discuss the classification of Earth and the integration of humanity into our galactic community. Commander Vrexthor, as the ranking military officer present during the rescue, please provide your assessment. Vrexthor stood. He had spent the last 3 days thinking, questioning everything he believed about strength, survival, and what it meant to be a Deathworlder. Honored Council, he began. I was wrong about humans. We all were wrong. When I first met them, I saw soft bodies and no natural weapons. I assumed weakness. I have learned that appearances mean nothing. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Humans are not weak. They are the opposite of weak. They have evolved a form of strength we do not understand. They do not survive through armor or claws. They survive through persistence, through adaptation, through absolute refusal to quit. Murmurs ran through the council. This was not what they had expected from the proud Krathal commander. I have seen a young human crawl 100 meters in 2.8 g gravity rather than give up, Vrexthor continued. I have seen a human hold her breath in corrosive gas for nearly 3 minutes to complete a repair. I have seen a human continue fighting with broken ribs and fractured bones. And on Threshold 7, I saw humans work for 47 hours in conditions that would kill most species, saving every single life. He looked around the chamber. We called ourselves Deathworlders. We were proud of that title. But humans come from a world we would classify as merely challenging, and they outperformed us when it mattered most. This means we have been measuring Deathworld status incorrectly. Council Prime Ixtel, the supreme leader, leaned forward. Explain. Dr. Hai rose from the human delegation section. She moved carefully, still healing from the rescue. May I address the council? Please, Ixtel gestured. Dr. Hai activated a holographic display. Earth is not an extreme world by your measurements, but those measurements do not tell the complete story. Let me show you Earth's history. Images appeared. Massive volcanic eruptions. Ice ages that covered continents. Asteroid impacts that blacked out the sun. Diseases that killed millions. Predators that hunted humans as prey. Earth has experienced 5 major mass extinction events, Dr. Hai explained. Each one eliminated most life on the planet, but life always came back, always adapted. Humans are products of that cycle. We learned to survive not because our world was constantly deadly, but because our world kept changing. Sometimes it was gentle, sometimes it was lethal. We never knew which. So we learned to handle both. Elder Ho, the human philosopher, stood. He was the oldest human present, with white hair and kind eyes that had seen much. May I add context? Please, Ixtel replied. Elder Ho walked to the center platform slowly. Commander Vrexthor is correct that we measure Deathworlds incorrectly. The Krathal evolved on a world with constant extreme conditions, so they developed constant extreme adaptations. Heavy armor for high gravity, tough skin for acid rain, powerful muscles for dangerous predators. They became specialists, perfectly adapted to their specific environment. He paused, letting that sink in. Humans evolved on a world that refused to stay consistent. Ice ages gave way to warm periods. Deserts became forests again. Prey animals changed. Predators changed. The only constant was change itself. So humans did not become specialists. We became generalists, adaptable to anything. Images of humans in different environments appeared. Arctic explorers, desert nomads, mountain climbers, deep sea divers, astronauts. We learned to survive anywhere, against anything, with anyone, Elder Ho continued. We developed persistence hunting because we could not match predators in speed or strength. We developed precise hands because we could not match their claws. We developed large brains because we could not match their instincts. We developed complex language and cooperation because we could not survive alone. Ambassador Wu stood next. And we developed something else. Something that may be uniquely human. We developed pack bonding that extends beyond our species. Confusion rippled through the council. Explain, Thex requested. Humans form emotional attachments easily, Wu said. Not just to other humans, to anything. We domesticated wolves and made them companions. We keep small predators called cats in our homes as friends. We name our vehicles. We apologize to furniture when we bump into it. We become attached to robots. We see a small, helpless thing, and our immediate instinct is to protect it, even if that thing is not human. Medical Officer Su added, on Threshold 7, humans did not stop to calculate whether rescuing colonists was strategically wise. We did not consider species differences. We saw people in danger, and our instinct was immediate. Save them. All of them. No matter the cost to ourselves. This is not a conscious choice. This is who we are. Vrexthor spoke again. They are right. During the rescue, I watched humans work to save species they had never met before. Private Jin collapsed carrying a Felian child to safety. Engineer Quan nearly died rigging shelters for Delarian colonists. They gained nothing from this except pain and injury, but they never hesitated. This is what makes humans Deathworlders, Elder Ho said quietly. Not our environment. Us. We chose to stay soft in a hard world. We chose cooperation over isolation. We chose to help others even when it hurts us. And when the universe tries to kill us, we look it in the eye and say, not today. The council chamber was absolutely silent. You see, Elder Ho continued, the Krathal earned their strength from their world. They had no choice, evolve or die. But humans, we chose our path. Every generation we could have become harder, more isolated, more aggressive. Instead, we became more cooperative, more empathetic, more stubborn about protecting others. That choice, made over millions of years, shaped us more than our environment ever could. Private Ra, still bandaged from the rescue, stood in the human section. I held my breath for nearly 3 minutes in toxic gas to complete a repair. Not because I am special. Any human with training could do that. We practice holding our breath. We train to ignore pain. We push our bodies past their limits regularly, because we might need to save someone someday, and that someone might be worth dying for. Sergeant Tay, his ribs still healing, added, I continued fighting with broken bones because that is what humans do. We do not quit. We do not give up. We do not leave people behind. Ever. Call it stubborn, call it stupid, call it whatever you want. But that is what makes us human. That is what makes us dangerous. Not because we are strong, but because we refuse to stop being strong. Council Prime Ixtel stood. The entire chamber fell silent. I have led this council for 40 years. I have seen many species. I have classified many worlds. But never have I encountered a species quite like humanity. He looked at the human delegation. You are correct. We have been measuring Deathworld status incorrectly. We measured environmental challenges. We should have been measuring something else. The will to survive, the refusal to quit, the determination to save others even at cost to yourself. Ixtel turned to the full council. I propose a new classification. Earth will be designated a Class 12 Deathworld, not for its environment, but for its people. The humans have proven that the deadliest thing in the galaxy is not a harsh planet. It is a species that refuses to accept defeat. The vote was unanimous. Later that evening, Vrexthor found Sergeant Tay in the station's observation deck. The human stood looking out at the stars, his posture careful to protect his healing ribs. Sergeant, Vrexthor said quietly. Tay turned. Commander, how can I help you? I wanted to apologize, Vrexthor said. The words felt strange. Krathal warriors did not apologize. But then, Krathal warriors had never been so completely wrong before. I underestimated your people. I saw weakness where there was strength. I saw fragility where there was resilience. Tay smiled. You saw what you were trained to see. Natural armor means strength. Soft skin means weakness. Those rules work for most species. They just do not work for humans. Why? Vrexthor asked. Why did you continue fighting with broken ribs? Why did Jin crawl when he could have quit? Why did your people risk death for strangers? Tay thought for a moment. Because quitting would have meant accepting defeat. And humans do not accept defeat. We might fail. We might die. But we do not quit. And as for saving strangers, he looked at Vrexthor directly. They were not strangers. They were people who needed help. That makes them our responsibility. Even though it nearly killed you? Especially because of that, Tay replied. What good is survival if you survive alone? What good is strength if you only use it for yourself? Humans learned long ago that we are stronger together. That every life has value. That community is worth dying for. Vrexthor was quiet for a long time. Finally, he said, On Krath Prime, we have a saying, only the strong survive. I believe that my entire life. It is a good saying, Tay acknowledged. But humans have a different one. Together, we are stronger. Maybe both are true. Vrexthor extended his massive hand. Tay took it carefully. The human's hand was so small in the Krathal warrior's grip. Soft skin against armored scales. Fragile bones against dense muscle. But somehow, Vrexthor thought, that small soft hand was one of the strongest things in the galaxy. In the docking bay, the ESV Horizon prepared for departure. Captain Day stood at the gangway, saying farewell to various council members. Ambassador Wu was deep in discussion with Councillor Thex about trade agreements. Dr. Hai was sharing data with alien scientists, already planning joint research projects. Gorn approached Captain Day. Where will you go next? Day smiled. Out there, further into the galaxy, there is so much to see, so much to learn, so many people to meet. And if you encounter danger? Then we will face it, Day said simply. Same as always. We will adapt, we will persist. We will find a way, because that is what humans do. The Horizon departed the station, its engines glowing bright against the darkness of space. Behind it, the Galactic Council watched. They had learned something important. Something that would change how they saw the universe. Deathworlders were not defined by their environment. They were defined by their spirit, by their refusal to quit, by their determination to protect others, by their absolute stubborn, unreasonable insistence that giving up was never an option. And humanity, the soft species from the moderate world, had proven themselves to be the most dangerous Deathworlders of all. Not because they could not be killed, but because even when broken, even when bleeding, even when facing impossible odds, they would get back up one more time. The galaxy would never forget that lesson, and it would never underestimate humans again.